And page 19 in the songbook.
You want to hand them the songbook?
Vrindaye tulasi devi
Priyaye kesavasya cha Krishna bhakti pradedevi Satyavatya namo namaha Atanatva mantra gurun Gurun bhagavatar jatan Vyasan jagat gurun natva Tato jayam udiyarayet Jaya saparikari shishi guru gauranga Garva govinda sundara Pada padmanam jayastu Jaya saparikari shishi guru gaura chandra girirajju Pada padmanam jayastu Shakala Vaishnava Pade Mona Namaskara Ide Kichu Aparada Nahuke Amara Hoi Chin Hoi Ben Prabhu Jatu Bhakta Jan Bandana Kori Ami Sabhara Charana Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Swami Shri Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada Te Namah Gurvagyam Shridita Shaktavesha Swarupine Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachatarine Visvacharya Pravaryaya Divyakarunya Murtaye Sri Bhagavata Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayine Gaura Sri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevine Radha Krishna Padamboja Vrindaya Gurave Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Vandana Ki Jai.
So page 84. Mohini, do you feel like chanting, or you feel sore throat? No.
You can cover the cart also, Braja?
Would you like the cart first?
No, I'm asking you. You're a better cart player than me. Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara Edase Koruna Kori Diya Pada Chaya Sodohe Amare Tomara Charana Dori Joya Vega Domi, Joya Rosha Shoti, Joya Gunna Deho Dase. Joy Sat Sangha Deho He Amare. Chichi Sangeraya She. Lekha ki amara nahi paya bhoga harinama sankirtane. Tumi kripa kori shraddha bindu diya. Deho Krishna namadane. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati ache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna Boli. Jai Tava Pache Pache. pache pache.
Krishna Dana Bhavara Pache Pache.
Nadana Babara se Gai Tava Pache Pache. Tumi Dileo Dite Paro. Krishna Toma Hridoya Dhan Tumi Dileo Dite Paro. Krishna Deva Shakti Rara Tumi Dileo Dite Paro. Amito Kangala Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Pache Pache. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Ohe Vaishnava Thakur. Jai Jai Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jai Guru Dev. Sri Vaishnava Mahima Giti Ki Jai. O my Lord, O Vaishnava, ocean of grace, kindly be gracious to this servitor. Bestow the shade of your holy feet. Purify me. I clasp your holy lotus feet.
Subjugate the 6 urges. Rectify the 6 defects. Bestow the 6 good qualities upon the servitor. This is straight from Upadeshamrita, by the way. Please grant me the 6 kinds of saintly association, again from Upadeshamrita. I sit at your feet aspiring for that association.
On my own, I have no strength to chant the holy name in conversation. Kindly be pleased to bestow a drop of faith in my heart, giving me the treasure of Lord Krishna.
Krishna is yours. You can give him. You have the power to do so. I who am bereft, calling Krishna, Krishna, am running desperately behind you. Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai.
All right. So what chapter are we on now? In the Gita?
We are on chapter of the constitution of the soul. And it's verse 32.
Constitution of the soul. All right.
Page 31.
Oh, so we've already gone into it for a little while. Because I wasn't here for a while, so we are now on verse number 32.
Yes.
Jai Shri Bhagavad Gita Upanishad Ki Jai Shri Krishna Arjuna Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Sundar Garuda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Rakuk Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai
Jai.
Jai Shri Shri Guru Gaurachandra Giri Raju Ki
Jai.
Jai Shri Nyasi Maharaj Ki
Jai. Okay, we've done this commentary?
Yeah, you read that.
Okay.
Well, but we're on verse 32 or we're on the next verse?
On 32.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
I have to get my glasses really quick. Mars, do you want to...
Okay. I just, Okay, so how are we doing? Everybody chanting along?
Yeah, we can chant the Sanskrit together.
Okay. yadrichaya chopapanam swargazvaram apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labhante yudam idrisham. O Partha, only the most fortunate warriors are blessed with the opportunity of such a battle, which has come to you like an open door to heaven.
So you know the background. Do you know the background of the Gita? You've been here before, right?
I haven't.
Oh, I know
Okay.
you have been here before, but I wasn't sure if I recognized you or not. So this is taking place on a battlefield. So it's very dramatic. And in the course of this battle, so many divine truths have been revealed. And this was 5,000 years ago. So this book is still being studied all over the world for the amazing wisdom in it. So Krishna is speaking to his friend, divine friend, Arjuna, and Arjuna is momentarily confused about what he's supposed to do. And Krishna is giving many wonderful instructions about these things, especially about death. Because Arjuna's saying, why should I kill all these people so I can be a king or I can have royal opulence? I don't care about that. I want to leave this battlefield. And Krishna is saying, don't lament about people dying. That's nothing. The soul, the real person inside the body does never die. And so many things like that. So now we've come to these verses.
So like the mood of Arjuna is like super intense. He's like, how can it be that I'm going to kill all these people? How can it be that so many people are going to die? That's like the mood of Arjuna. And then Krishna is saying, don't worry, this is how the world goes on. I have arranged everybody's going to die is going to die anyway. Whether you fight or you don't fight, it's all going to happen. So Arjuna, you should take my order and fight, because that's the instruction of myself, the personality of Godhead, the source of all existence. You learn this, you perform your duty, and fight, regardless of what your perceived moral standard is. You know, Krishna is beyond all external moral standards. That's the bottom line understanding of Arjuna's position in relation to the Gita. He's got all kinds of like conceptions about what's right, what's wrong, so many things like that. And Krishna is just presenting to him that, you know, the standard of right and wrong in the material world is extremely relative. So how do we find a standard that's beyond the relativity of, you know, moral standards that are perceived according to particular person's relative situation and their own relative upbringing and stuff like that? And, you know, Krishna brings out that there's an absolute standard of morality. And that absolute standard comes from me, because I am the personality of Godhead. So the Bhagavad Gita is amazing, because here you have Krishna, who is actually the supreme personality of Godhead, who's descended to this plane, speaking to his devotee Arjuna, who's placed himself in a situation whereby the Bhagavad Gita can be spoken, and the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita about the nature of the self as soul, the idea that we have to perceive our life and our duty in relation to ourselves as eternal souls. That's what the real perception of the individual should be. And that's a perception that we in human life have actually got the capability to begin to see that. So Krishna wants to bring that out in Arjuna, and naturally that's meant to be brought out in all of us who are reading the Gita.
Should we go this way? Should we go this way? So you happy to read the next verses in English? Okay, so
She doesn't have to though.
well, you can if you want to, but we'll chant the Sanskrit together, and then we just take turns reading the English. But you can do that if you like. But so number 33. Atachetvam
Imam dharmyam sangramanam chitkarshade tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapyasi askritim chapi bhutani katayisyanti te vyayam sambhavamityashakritir marapadanti chiyate Avyadrananuparatam Mamashrati Tvang Maharataha Yesham Chaitvam Bahamato Budva Yasyasi Laghavam Acharani Shabahum Vadishyanti Tavahitaha Nindatastas Yartam Tato dukantaram nikham.
So if you like, you can read 33, or do you want to, well, I guess you'll be next.
33 to 36.
33, 35, 36, right?
Too bad we can't hear them. All right, that's okay.
But if you choose not to fight this battle, with justice, your religious principles will be lost. Fame will desert you and sin will overcome you. People will speak of your infamy for all time to come, and for the renowned infamy is worse than death. Your great warriors will highly honor you, will ridicule you, considering that you were afraid to fight. Your enemies will mock you. What could be more painful?
O
Any-
son of Kunti, if you are killed, you will attain heaven.
Oh,
If you are-
we haven't read Sanskrit yet.
So we'll read the Sanskrit together for these next verses. Any questions about what we just read? Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty heavy series of verses where Krishna is like telling Arjuna that this is the situation that you're in. And according to your particular nature and according to the particular time and circumstance, you have a chance to act according to your nature and become glorious. And the nature of that glory really doesn't have anything to do with like material fame or like that. It has to do with the renown that comes from the glories of one who acts and like risks his life, dedicates his life to the higher principle of accepting the direction that comes down from above and not following the direction that comes from our own inner nature or our own external desires. So basically Krishna is just saying these things will happen to you if you deny this activity. You'll be known as a person who is not like strong enough to follow the directions that come to you from me, from above. Yeah?
Yeah, painful meaning that people will not look upon them as virtuous anymore. In those days, the kings, the saintly kings, they were very, very virtuous. And they did follow the scriptures. And they did their duty no matter what. No matter what. Whatever the consequences are, they do their duty according to the scripture. And he's saying, well, you're going to run away for these reasons out of the battlefield, but everybody's going to think you were just a coward. You had no virtue in yourself. What would be more painful than that? Right? I'm sure that's what you just said, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can just remember when I first came to Krishna consciousness, it was the time of the Vietnam War. So of course I was opposed to Vietnam War as opposed to war in general. And then I was reading this, I'm thinking, whoa, this is like way out there, man. And then, I discussed it with devotees who were older than me, and I began to understand that there's like a whole different principle that is tied in with understanding your duty in relation to God. And then, so that's a natural tendency in everybody to follow their duty. So the duty comes down in the external world in things that are relation to like general perceptions about service to humanity or speculative understandings about service to nation. And there is, because it comes from this position of giving yourself to God, and it comes down through that way. There is some nobility in that, no doubt. But the unfortunate thing is, in the material world, it's misdirected. You dedicate yourself to a nation, but the nation is misdirected. You know, the nation, what is the object? What is the object of the nation? Is there an objective to help people grow spiritually? Or is it an objective to situate people economically, situate the nation politically, militarily, and so on? You know, it's a whole different level of understanding about what our obligation is, and what the real nature of everybody's feeling this sense of duty. I should do this, and that comes from our duty to Krishna. We all want that, but we just have been misdirected. So generally at that time, I was just like rejecting it. Forget it. I'm not going to, get myself killed for some political trip, So, but, later I understood the circumstance of this. And I understood that more clearly that, some of the people who were going there generally had some notion that I'm going to die for my country. And that was noble. But the unfortunate thing is the country is misdirected. The country is materialistic. So you have a noble ideal, but it's like distorted in giving your very life to the ideal of something that's materialistic. That's the unfortunate thing. Is that understandable? Okay.
Okay. 37. Ato va prapsyasi
Vargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmad utishta kaunteya yudhaya krita nischaya sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yudhaya yudsharva naivam papam avapsyasi Eshate buhita shankhe buddhir yoge tvimam shrinu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham parashyasi.
Do you want to read the English?
Me?
Yeah, would you like to? 37, 38, and 39?
O son of Kunti, if you are killed, you will attain heaven, and if you are victorious, you will enjoy your life on earth. Therefore, being confident of your success, arise for battle. Considering pleasure and pain, gain and loss, and victory and defeat to be one and the same. Fight. No sin will be incurred by you.
And then 39 also?
I have revealed to you this knowledge of the soul. Now hear from me how to act in this knowledge, through which you will be able to free yourself from the bondage of action.
Would you like to read that little commentary as well?
It will be revealed that Buddha yoga wisdom is a singular path. When Buddha yoga is seen to be limited by the ideal of action, it is known as karma yoga. When it extends beyond action to up to the peak of knowledge, it is known as
Jnana.
yoga or Sankhya yoga.
Good.
Very good.
And when transcending the limitations of both action and knowledge, it touches bhakti or devotion, and it is then known as Bhakti yoga or perfectly pure and complete Buddha yoga.
That's quite a lot.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
So it means that Buddhi yoga, or becoming fully wise and seeing everything very, very clearly, what's what, it has different stages, and it culminates in devotion, in pure, unalloyed, unadulterated devotion, without any selfish motives or anything. But that's a very high ideal. But that is where all these different yoga levels that are, this is the quintessential yoga scripture. And so many different levels of yoga are being described here. And it culminates in the ideal of full absorption in love of God, who is the absolute truth. There's no bifurcation of this and this. Everything is seen in terms of absolute reality and our relationship with that. So that is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. And so in this commentary, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our great gurus from the past, he's explaining this different levels of coming to that.
I think it's really insightful that what is the nature of love? What's the composition of love? That it has to do with, the perfect love is full, unalloyed, unmotivated devotion and dedication. So we're all seeking that, and we find it in different degrees amongst people in this world. But the ultimate perfection of love and the ultimate ability to be able to give deep love to everybody is to make connection with the source of love, who is Krishna. And when we start to develop love for Krishna, then because everyone's part of Krishna, you have more and more love for everyone. And that gradually develops as your inner self comes out and awakens more and more to the world of the spirit and the world of being together with similar spirits who have the same objective, the same ultimate objective. Everyone is looking for the same thing. It's just most people, because of material consciousness, they think that ultimate objective is great wealth, owning property, having great beauty, having super strength. So many different manifestations of the temporary are considered to be the real object of what we should do in life. But actually the real object Krishna is giving us is to work to develop love and dedication to Him, to the source of our existence.
Anytime you have a question or anything, don't hesitate to ask. It's very, you're getting a big dose.
Sorry if I'm overloading you. I really like to talk about this.
No, but thank you. Okay, so number 40. Nebabi
Kramana Sosti Pratyavayo Navidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Vayat. 40.
On this path, there can be no loss and no harm. The slightest practice of such a spiritual ideal saves one from the greatest fear. Commentary. Mahabhayi, the greatest fear is generally considered to be fear of the repeated birth and death in this world. The Mahabhayi Bhaya also refers to
Sayujya.
The liberation of merging into the impersonal, non-differentiated consciousness of Brahmalaka, Braja, or a kind of impersonal samadhi. Renunciation alone leads to Sayujya Mukti, the cessation of birth and death, but not to a life in the positive plane. It takes one to a permanent burial in Brahmaloka, the demon of Mukti, will devour one whole self, and therefore it is even more dangerous than this ordinary life of action and reaction. Mukti means a strike in the organic system, so it must be avoided. For example, to either ignore duties in a factory or to declare a strike by cessation of duties are both abnormal. Bhukti exploitation and mukti renunciation are both fearsome ghosts. Therefore, Mahabhaya means the great apprehension of falling prey to both the ghost of exploitation leading to birth and death, as well as the ghost of committing suicide by merging into the impersonalism of incarceration and Brahmaloka. fear of both Boga Bhumi, the land of exploitation, and Taiga Bhumi, the plain of renunciation. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Just read the English.
So the Sanskrit is Bhukti Mukti Spriha Yavad Pasachji Pridhivartate Tavad Bhakti Sukhasyatra Katam Abhyudayo Bhave. And that means the ecstasy of devotion to Krishna will never appear in a heart that is haunted by the ghosts of exploitation and renunciation. So this is a very long commentary. Do you want to read more? Do you want to finish reading it? Okay, on page 36 then. And then Anya Vilasita Shunyam Jnana Karma
Janavritam Anakulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttama.
The highest devotion is that which is cultivated for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Krishna, with no desire except to serve him, and divested of all external attempts such as worldly action, knowledge in search of the impersonal absolute, or the meditational attempt to become one with God. Only the Supreme Lord is Abhaya, beyond apprehension. Therefore, nothing but participation in his service can free one from ghosts of exploitation and renunciation. Bhukti and Mukti. If we subtract Bhukti and Mukti, then only positive Bhakti. Devotion is the remainder. Therefore, without devotion, everything is Mahabhaya, great danger.
Is that, it's a lot. That's a really lot to learn. It's a very basic but deep principle in spiritual progress. Bhukti means this is all for me. It's all here to serve me. Everything around me is for me to enjoy. And then you get a reaction to that, right? Action and reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap, and all these things. That's the law of karma. And then noticing that some will become, they want mukti. I'm out of here. This place is bad, and I'm going away. I want to go away and just merge into nothing. Just let it all, just erase the whole thing. So those two things are there. But what is being given here is, these are, neither of these is good. The soul is, we are responsible for being in this world, but the world is not the problem. My difficulty is that I am acting selfishly, or when I'm frustrated with that, I just think everything's bad and I want to leave. And I'm not taking responsibility for the fact that I have no devotion. So by awakening devotion, then is actually the whole problem is solved. Not by, I want to have all this and I hate all of this. Both of these things are not really accurate ways of looking at it. Is that kind of clear? It reminds me of that Aesop's fables about the sour grapes. You've heard that expression before? So there's this little fable. They come from India, fine. Anyway, there's a fox in the forest, and there's some grapes hanging from a tree in the forest, and he wants them, and he keeps jumping, and he can't get them. And then he goes, oh, well, those grapes are sour anyway. And because he can't enjoy them, he says they're bad. They must be bad. So we're in this world trying to enjoy, and we keep getting smacked, right? And so we're like, this world is bad. I want to get out of here. It's all bad. But neither one of those is true. We have a bad relationship with the world in our own selves, and that's what we have to rectify. Because actually everything is the flowing will of divinity. But I'm out of sync with that, and therefore I'm suffering. But the Lord's will is always coming to invite us to be with Him in a loving relationship. So that is a very high and supreme form of bhakti. Bhakti is the supreme yoga. Because yoga means to connect. And to connect with what? To connect with the center of all things. And He, like we, is a person.
And we learn from from the scriptures and from our gurus that there's an arrangement in the spiritual world that the first level of the spiritual world is like an impersonal energy. It's just an all-pervading spirit, and people. There's a particular section of dedication and direction of purpose in India to kind of just melt away into that impersonal energy and become, like, as they say, one with God. But at the same time, we're individuals by nature, spiritual nature, we're individuals. So we're told that you could only stay there for a certain amount of time because the desire to love and the desire to have relationship is going to, cause you to come back down to this world. So the real objective is beyond that spiritual oneness. There's actually a world where there's individuals, and it's a world of amazing personalities, and the whole atmosphere and the whole foundation of the place, trees and grass and everything is very, it's like fully spiritual. And living beings that are there are fully individual and relate in an individual way with Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So, beyond the oneness of the impersonal energy, there's the personal world of spiritual love and spiritual relationship. That's kind of the cosmology that we've learned from our gurus and from our scriptures. Is that okay?
Anyways, if there's any question, please go ahead and ask them. There's no trouble, no problem there. Okay, so number 41 on page 36. Vyavasayadika buddhir Lekha kurunandana Bahusakayanantascha Buddhayo yasasya.
O descendant of the Kuru dynasty, resolute intelligence dedicated to me is one-pointed. I am its only objective, but irresolute intelligence is splayed by endless desires for mundane enjoyment.
That's a very deep verse. I'm just going to, I know, there's this stuff so much, but I just wanted to kind of explain this verse a little bit. So when we're out to enjoy ourselves, right? I want to get this, and I want that, and I don't want that, and I want that, and we're just all over the place. But when one connects with the center, the absolute reality, the absolute truth, there's only one focus. And everything else is harmonized by that. So this is what this verse is saying. When we're doing everything with a consciousness of devotion and dedication to the Supreme Center, the absolute reality, to the personality of Godhead, then the intelligence is very, very harmonizing. Everything is harmonized. Every circumstance is harmonized. And every circumstance helps us to progress, actually. But otherwise, it's like, I don't know, I'm really scared of that, and I really want that to happen, and I don't want this, what about this? And, like we're all over the place, right? Because we don't know who we are, and we don't know what the center is by which we can measure things. And losing that is a very big loss. All right, then.
So I have a question. The center, that's basically where we feel the emotions, right? But we're in observer mode and in the present moment. That is true center, right?
Yes, that is can be a symptom of that, but the center is the person. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's nothing actually outside of him. To conceive of something outside of God, this is like a figment of our imagination. His will is always there, but we are not seeing things clearly. And when we don't see that, that is called Maya, or illusion. And it puts us in a position of something called raga dvesh. I want that, I don't want that. I want that, I don't. We're living in the mental world. So the center, without the Lord, without understanding that there's a personality, supreme, sweet source of all beauty, all sweetness, all charm, all kindness, all mercy, that is the center. And that we are always looking for that person. So when we see this, trying to conceive of the center, it is in a mood of what is called Sharanagati, or surrender. That whatever is coming to me, this is grace. And by a mood of bowing down that, yes, my Lord, this is good for me. What is my service now? We can come into an absolute consciousness. An absolute reality is coming at every moment to everyone. There is a supreme synergy in all of existence, but we need to see that as the flow of divine will. But we're out of sync with that, and it's causing us to see things in a very wonky way. It's not really accurate. Is that somewhat clear?
Yeah. So so what do you actually do? Like, I mean, in that state of, I don't want this, I like this, I'm craving this, and all this. So what do you do?
Well, this supreme yoga is, again, it's called Sharanagati, and this is a very fine principle of practice. But it is so powerful. It's like an incredible gift. Coming from the plane of full prejudice, of addictions which are unnecessary, ways of thinking and viewing things which are not accurate, right? So like somebody can come up to me and say, da 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 da, and I'll be like, oh, that's offensive. And then when I come up to you and say, da 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 da, and you'll be like, yeah, cool. We have a prejudicial way of looking at things, and it's been accumulating over many lifetimes. But the direct method of curing every kind of misconception is to try to read the whole environment, whatever is coming to me, whatever is coming in my field of perception, as being directly the will of Krishna personally. And even if I hate it, my mind is like, nope, I'm not having this. You will circumvent that. That is a mental prejudice. Bowing down and saying, yes, my Lord. This is your arrangement and it is good for me. And see how he will change your angle of vision directly. And it is true. But the mind will be like a big brass band of noise. Oh no, I'm not having that, no. But the more we practice this, the more we can find that there really isn't a problem. It was all in my own eye. That is very powerful. And we can begin to feel ourselves as a soul. Instead of the mental, just, prejudicial, like a madman or a person addicted to something. Just like crazy, just going after something that's actually causing so much pain for ourselves. This is the direct method of full connection with the center, the all harmonizing, all beautiful, charming wonder of God.
Thank you.
I think like a structural understanding of as we've been taught by our gurus, that the center of our existence is we're the Atma, but next to the Atma and along with the Atma is the Paramatma. And that's the representative of Krishna that's in each one of our hearts. And therefore, the center of our existence is ourselves linked with Krishna. So when we pray, we're not like praying to some unknown something or other up in the clouds, but we're praying to Krishna, who's directly with us. As you know, as we're told, he's our best friend. He's right with you all the time. He's the only one who's with you all the time. He's the only one who's taking care of you all the time. And you know, as we like try to remember that and work on like establishing a relationship with Krishna as your friend who's along with you inside, you just naturally grow in devotion. You know, it works like that. And as you grow in devotion, you get some small experience of what devotion is, but you also get a glimpse of what what actual pure devotion is, and you realize at the same time, boy, I'm just scratching the surface. I'm just starting. I may have a long way to go, but based on the little experience that I have, I know that that other objectives within this world are just a waste of time. The real objective of my real self, the soul, is to relink with Krishna, who's going to help me all along the way as my like best friend. That's like such a cool thing to remember. And we can all like practice like that because Krishna's there. And if we try to remember that and try to relate with him, we'll begin to feel the reality of that. Even though it's just a little bit at first, but it's enough to like begin to transform our lives.
Any other questions at all? Okay. So you're starting out in the postgraduate class in the Gita. This is very, very, very profound. Very well. So, are we first on 42?
I think so, yeah. Namimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashita vedavada rata partha nanyad astiti vadinaha kamatmana swargapara janma karma pala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaisvarya gatim prati Bhogaisvarya prashaktanam tyapavritta chetasam vyavasyatmika buddhi samadhavna vidhiyate.
O Partha, unwise persons, not knowing that the chief directive of the Vedas is the attainment of the supreme truth, are fond of interpreting the fleetingly enchanting words of the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas as ultimate. Their hearts are filled with desires and their goal is heaven. They advocate the many sacrifices and rituals that yield wealth, worldly pleasures, and high birth. Thus attached to enjoyment and opulence, deluded by these flowery words of the Vedas, they do not attain the resolve to dedicate themselves to the Supreme Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a synopsis of the difference between religiosity and bhakti yoga. Krishna is the source of the Vedas. The Vedas are the original scripture of the world, and really ancient books. Some of the books here are so ancient, no one can date them. And they're original in sense. We have many very, very ancient books here. And that's all coming from Krishna. Krishna is the source of the Veda. And then other smaller scriptures along the way have come just to help different groups of people, but there's the original whole understanding of religious life, or mystic yoga, meditation, doing good so that you will get a good result. ringing in the sheaves and so many things like that. They're all originally in the Veda. So Krishna is saying, but that part of the Veda where it is encouraged that you will do some pious work in order to get stuff in the material world later, including heaven, heavenly enjoyment, mystic yoga perfections, or like wealth, beauty, fame, all these things can come through pious activities. He's saying, don't do that. Don't go into that jungle. It's there. I've given it. It's, better than nothing. But it is not perfection at all, and the results of those are temporary. So he's just saying, they don't attain result because it's very distracting to get all involved in that. I do this, then I will get a good wife in my next life, or if I do that, then I'll attain, some great knowledge, I'll be very famous. And there's all sorts of things in the Vedas, of different paths to take that give these temporary results. But Krishna is saying, summarily, don't become involved in that. You will forget what it is to find out who you really are. Because in the results, even in heaven, after millions of years in heaven, you die and you still don't know who you are. You don't know who the Supreme Lord is, and you don't know your relationship. You've just gotten distracted. So he's saying, don't get involved with that. Pretty heavy, huh?
I think, it's like the general kind of trap of ordinary religion. And you see it whether it's like Christianity, Islam, or what they call Hinduism in India generally. Generally, the ordinary people follow, thinking that if I do this, in my future life I'll be in heaven, or in my future life I'll be in a position where I'll gain more and more wealth, and I'll be in a higher position of happiness and enjoyment and all these things. So the objective of heaven, when it's personally motivated, is like also a material objective. That's what Krishna's saying. You have to go to a different approach to your relationship with God. You don't worship God to get something. Rather, you worship God to give something. It's a whole different consciousness that you can see. I mean, I've studied Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and you can see that amongst all of them, there's like general followers, but yet also amongst all of them, there are a few who have some deeper understanding of what was the actual teaching, and they focus themselves in that way, and they try to live a life in that way. When I was living in England, there was these monks that lived down the road. Do you remember what the name of their order was? I forget. Anyway, one day I got to talk to one of them, and it was actually really inspiring because they had their ideal. They didn't speak except for on one day, and anyway, their ideal was very similar. They're together, living together, trying to develop a pure life in relation to service to God. And as devotees in Krishna consciousness, even though our teachings come from India, still we respect that and understand that ultimately, because there's so many similarities, these teachings are all coming down from above, and they all have originally been applied in different time and circumstance to help people in different ways. And through the course of the development of materialism, through this a materialistic age that we're living in, the teachings in so many different places across all spectrums of religion have become distorted and watered down. But at the center of every practice of religion has to do with bringing oneself to a stage of full dedication and love to God, whether it's Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Adonai, You know, there's so many different names for God. And it's a really cool thing that I've learned, that as you study the scriptures, everywhere it says, like, say, you know, worship the name of God, say the name of God. It's all over the Bible. And, you know, our understanding is, yes, in this age, say the name of God. It may be Krishna, it may be Allah, it may be Adonai, it may be Yahweh, Jehovah, but say the name of God. That's like what, you know, what we say. If someone's following Christianity in a developed way, we don't say that's no good. We say, oh, that's good. Say the name of God. Make that a part of your life. If you're following Islam, say the name of God. Make that a part of your life. You know, see beyond the external structures that have been imposed on, you know, all religions for like ill motivations by people to structure things to keep themselves in a higher position. Everywhere it's like that. So that, anyway, I'm just saying that in this age, religions have been watered down, but if you look at the center point, they all come to a stage of talking about the holy name and the importance of the holy name. Like in Salt Lake, there's like a holy name cathedral, right? Anybody heard of that? It's up there on 33rd or something, I forget. But the Catholics have a holy name cathedral, which is, you know, I think just indicative of the widespread understanding about the importance of God's names.
Are we on 45 now?
Oh, yeah. Vishaya Veda Nistraygunya Bhavarjuna Nirvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan Yavan Arta Udapane Sarvata Samplutodake Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijnanataha.
O Arjuna, the Vedas deal with the three modes of material nature by accommodating fruitive action and liberation as an allowance and incentive for persons who are ignorant of the true objective of the Vedas. But you, Arjuna, give up duality and all pursuits for gain and preservation, and stand ever in the plane of truth, and by the yoga of wisdom transcend the modes of nature. The objective of the Vedas is transcendental, without fruitive action or liberation. O Arjuna, follow the transcendental path of devotion to the Lord as taught by the Vedas, or as Maharaja.
You want some water? I haven't touched this. Oh, you have some? Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, those who know the real purpose of the Veda are not going to be distracted by these sort of compromises along the way, but go to the central point of knowledge. As all the purposes served by several ponds can be served better by a large lake, similarly, the fruits of worshiping the various gods by their respective Vedic prayers are surpassed by serving me. The knower of Brahman, who thus knows the purport of the Vedas, fulfills all life objectives. So this is a whole other subject. So part of the, so there's not very much detail about heaven in the later scriptures, but in the Vedic scriptures there's big detail about different planes of heavenly enjoyment. And as, just like in a country is presided over by a king or a president or a prime minister or something like that, right? So all these different planes of heaven are also presided over by very powerful personalities who have attained those positions through piety, and they're called the demigods. But their positions, and you can get that position, but you can't keep it forever. It's something. So he's saying, don't get distracted by worshiping these personalities. They can give you gifts, but they're worshiping me to have those gifts to give you. So not to get distracted. That's a whole other subject about that.
There's one really cool thing that I learned, because we understand that there's like 7 heavens, and progressively they increase in capacity for material enjoyment. There's 7 hells, and they increase as you go down in the suffering. But in our understanding of heaven and hell, neither one is permanent. And that's one of the basic flaws in how Christianity developed, that they decided at a certain, I think it was the Council of Nicaea in like the 4th century, that they decided hell is a permanent thing. And, it's like all or nothing in this life, which is really not how it is. It's like anything. If you act in such a way as to follow the law, you're able to live a normal life. If you break the law, you're going to get arrested and put into jail. So in a similar way, there's like a law of God and a natural arrangement for people to follow. And as we desire to follow in the right direction, it's revealed to us, either through coming in contact with people who have understanding about that direction, or reading in the scriptures about understanding that direction, and trying within to follow in that proper way. So Krishna consciousness brings us to a stage where we're able to go beyond the progressions and the digressions of the material world, and transcend this 7 higher levels, 7 lower levels, and go to the spiritual world that lays beyond that. That's kind of the cosmological type layout of our understanding of how the material world is set up, and how the living being progresses or digresses in the material world based on its karmic activities. Any questions? Is that clear or not clear? Okay.
Okay, number 47. Karma
Raste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palabhetur bhur ma te sangostra karmani yogasta kuru karmani sangam tyatva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvan yoga uchyate durena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhav sharanam anvicha palahetava. Oh, it's me, huh?
Yes, Mom.
Okay. Your right is your work, never to the fruit. Your right is to your work, never to the fruits. Be neither motivated by the fruit of action, nor inclined to give up action. O Dhananjaya, give up the ego that you are the doer, and be equipoised in success and failure. Thus stand firm in the plane of yoga and do your prescribed duties. Such is a state of balance, is indeed known as yoga. O Dhananjaya, fruitive action is far inferior to this yoga of wisdom, who's motivated by the fruits of their actions are misers. Therefore seek refuge in the selfless wisdom of equanimity. So the equanimity means that when we act, we act out of dedication for our connection with Krishna. And what comes, bad or good, is coming by Krishna's will anyway. So we accept that if I'm in a position where I'm in pain, or where I'm suffering emotionally or mentally, I can remember that Krishna has arranged this for me to learn lessons and to grow. Again, by working on establishing our relationship with God and understanding that whatever we get hit with, emotionally, mentally, even physically, Krishna's there behind it. And there's a reason for it, even though we can't perceive it. Like I've had experiences in my life where, things have really been painful, and I didn't understand what was going on or why or, how it worked. But I tried to understand always that Krishna's behind this. There is some reason. And in every case, eventually, maybe it takes 5 or 10 years even it took, but eventually I knew very clear, I was shown very clearly how that what Krishna did to me, although it appeared as a painful thing, it actually righted my situation so that I would be able to progress further in like the proper direction. That's like an understanding that we can all more and more develop by beginning to try to see that whatever is hitting us, painful or pleasureful or whatever, Krishna's there behind it. And our ideal in life is just to understand that we should act not for, like constantly trying to avoid difficulties or constantly trying to accumulate things, but rather we try to act as God would want us to act. Like wake up in the morning, Krishna, what do you want me to do today? Let me do your will as best I can throughout the day, and try to direct yourself in that way. Even though we may go to work and we may have to do so many things on a day-to-day basis, there's still in consciousness there's a way in which we can like develop that and work on the fact that we do have a relationship with Krishna and that we can come in contact with Krishna even in our day-to-day lives. God is everywhere. He's behind everything, and whatever circumstance we're in, Krishna is there behind that circumstance. So understanding that and at least trying to understand that, more and more we'll get a relief that the things that are coming to me are not just, oh, this is so terrible, this is so painful, I don't know why it's happening, why am I doing, or this is so pleasureful, it's so wonderful, I'm so great. No, it's coming from a source who has a particular purpose to help me. And to see it in that way is such a relief. And of course, like we're all working on that. But nonetheless, in life, we can see that results are tangible. As I just said, 10 years later, I realized, wow, Krishna guided me there. I didn't even know that. How cool to be able to see that. Like, what a relief, man. Okay.
Uh, 47 now?
Around 50.
50, yeah.
50, yeah.
What's going on? Okay.
Buddhi
To jahatiha ube sukrita duskrite tasman yogaya yugyasva yoga karma shukaushalam karma jam buddhi yukta hi palam chaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmukta padam gachati anmayam yadate moha kalinam buddhir vyatitarasyate tadagatasi nivedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha.
Maybe you could take this so that because we are online actually, so everyone can hear.
Oh, those are actually like microphone things?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I thought it was something that I had to clip onto.
Yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't
how
matter.
cool.
The wise person obtains both good and bad actions in this world. Engage thus in yoga, as yoga is the art of all works. There The wise are enlightened by giving up the fruits of their actions, and thus attaining liberation from the bondage of birth, they reach the plane beyond all suffering. When your intelligence fully emerges from the dense forest of illusion, that you will be indifferent to all that has been heard or is yet to be heard.
Wow. Well, you know, I mean, you got to say something about that.
Well, the thing is that ultimately, what is coming in front of us, and we know we should do it, we do it but as an offering. And then the Lord can mold that in the most perfect way, and He will personally bring the result to you. And as we're practicing that, we start to realize that I am not the thing that's making things happen. I'm simply making an offering.
Time Mahaprabhu.
It's a very fine thing to understand this. Krishna is saying you're not the doer. It's like, wait, I just did something. But when we can finally analyze our actions, like, if you can do this, right, that's an action, but I have no idea how I'm doing it. And tomorrow I might not be able to do it. We're not, there's some other thing behind us. And to offer everything to the Lord, then He will mold it to the highest, to His own divine heart, and bring that result to us. That is the art of existing. It is so lovely to always be in touch with the absolute, all-harmonizing Lord. And then we're not thinking, oh, I'm the powerful thing, I'm going to make this, and then get all disappointed. And so many nonsense things that happen in the plane of misunderstanding of reality. So that's what these verses are about. They're very mysterious and but when we begin that practice, and we can experience that very, very much, very much, that my whole idea that I'm the one making the movers and shakers, I'm the one making, that whole idea is just mental. It's not actually, the mind generally misperceives things. And it's not a clear perception of reality. Because finally, think, oh, I just thought of something. Well, did I make myself think of something? How did I do that? Or I'm great. I play the piano better than anyone else. Did you make yourself good at playing the piano? Did you give yourself talent? Really, when you analyze things carefully, we can see, oh, there's some other thing there. I am being supported by a higher principle. And finally, through surrender, we will feel, oh, this is very loving to me. This influence of existence is very loving. And my problem with things is that I'm out of sync with that. I have my own agenda, you could say. So, very deep yoga. And it's the ultimate yoga.
I remember discussing with one of my Christian professors when I was studying religion about this idea of, why is a person born in a position of suffering, and why is a person born in a position of material enjoyment? And all they can say is, well, it's a mystery. God does things that are mysterious. But by Krishna consciousness, we understand that everyone is born in exactly the proper position according to their previous activities. If they're born and they're suffering a bit, that's because they've caused others to suffer. If they're in a position of happiness or enjoyment, that's because they acted selflessly and helped others to have a more happy, balanced life. That's like the explanation. Otherwise, there's no clear explanation. Why is a person born deformed? It's horrible, it's terrible, but we can understand that is exactly, exactly the proper position. And they'll grow up and live through it and then take a better birth in the future. But everybody's got pain to suffer as a result of their previous activities, and pleasure that will come also as a result of those previous activities. But Krishna here is saying, just be indifferent. Don't freak out if you have pain or displeasure. Understand it's coming for a purpose. And don't think, oh, I'm so great, I'm having all this enjoyment. Just think, this is coming to me. Krishna is letting me balance my life out, have some relief from the different sufferings that have come to me. It's always like, Krishna is there, like helping us. And, what comes, because it's his, he's behind it, then naturally, whether it comes to us painful or pleasurable, it doesn't matter because it comes from Krishna. That's how you become indifferent, right? I think so.
Yeah, and there's compassion. But when you have compassion for the suffering of others, and you really understand the cause of that suffering, then you can really help. But compassion when we don't understand the cause of suffering, and then that compassion will actually can even put more suffering on the head of that person by helping them to do things which is actually going to perpetuate the problem. So there has to be some wisdom behind compassion. And if a person is in the ocean, you can give them a raft, give them a snorkel, give them this, but the real problem is that he's in the ocean. And if there's another shelter where is more of that natural life, then that endeavor will be considered much more valuable. So here in this wisdom of yoga, our ultimate love, we get the chance where we can actually help someone to really solve the whole problem of birth and death and suffering and this, being banged around like a ping pong ball. So, all right, so we'll continue number 53. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole chapter.
What's the
The offering, by the way, it's at 8. It's going to be off at 8.
Oh, the offering's always at 8. Okay.
Okay.
Shruti
Yate yadastasyati nishchala samadva chala buddhis tada yogam avapsyasi Arjuna uvacha Sthita pragyasya kabasha samadhistasya keshava Sthita de kim prabhashita Kim asita vrajeta kim Sri Bhagavan uvacha Prajahanta yata kamam Sarva parta manogatan Atmanyevatmana tushta Stita pragyasta dochate.
You shall attain perfect yoga or pure devotion when your intelligence, undisturbed by the apparent contradictions of the Vedas, abides in the Lord. Arjuna said, O Kesava, what are the characteristics of the person of firmly established wisdom, who is fully absorbed in consciousness of the Supreme, Samadhi? How does such a man of steady mind speak, be, and act in this world? 55 also?
Yes.
The Supreme Lord, said, O Partha, one who rejects all desires that enter the mind and remains self-satisfied within is known as a person whose wisdom is firmly established.
Any question about that?
So Arjuna is wondering, well, this consciousness of the Supreme, this realization, what's it like? How do people are supposed to act in this world? You know, what's going on? How does it really apply? And then Krishna now begins to tell us, you know, what's going on with the transformation of consciousness, like from material consciousness to fully spiritual consciousness. And, you know, Krishna will give description of, you know, what is that nature? And, you know, when we read these descriptions, we try to understand, oh, I should be acting in that way. And we try our best to, but we're not going to, you know, we're not going to be perfect. But at the same time, we can understand that if we follow Krishna's instructions and try to live life in that way, we'll gradually develop to the stage where we'll naturally live a life that is fully in line with this ideal lifestyle that Krishna is presenting. You know, that's the hope of devotion. Krishna outlines, you know, what is the ideal, what is that kind of life, what is that kind of nature, and then he tells us, you know, how we can live in this life in such a way as to reach that perfectional stage.
Okay, so number 56. Right?
Yes.
Sukeshu vigata spriha vitaraga bhaya krodha shtita dir munir uchyate ya sarvatra vinashyayas tat prapya subhashuvam nibhinanaditi tasya pragya pratishtita yada samharate chayam kurmong ravashavasa indriyarte tasya pragya pratishtita.
One who's undisturbed by sorrow, whose hankering for pleasure has gone, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is known as the silent sage of steady mind. One who is not attached to anything in this world, who neither enjoys nor resents auspiciousness or inauspiciousness, his wisdom is firmly established. When one's senses are controlled and totally withdrawn from their objects, like the limbs of the tortoise withdrawn in its shell, his wisdom is firmly established.
Can you imagine that? Not disturbed by sorrow, whose hankering for pleasure is gone, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is known as the silent sage of steady mind. Doesn't mean he doesn't speak, but when he speaks, it's not noise. He's always saying truthful things.
What are the objects
Of the
of
senses? You know, that's an interesting, I mean, it's a really great question. Because, okay, so, say I thought you have some money in your pocket. And I want to be friends with you because then I think you might give me some money. Then you become an object, right? You become an object and I never really know you. Is that true? So when we're seeing through the mind, projecting through the senses, what we see is objects because we're exploiters. But that those same things seen through the eye of devotion will be seen in a different way. They'll be seen as divine and conscious, and made of a higher thing than I am made of. We will see with reverence the entire environment. But because we are exploiters, this is for me, that's for me, I want that, I don't want that, this nasty relationship, then it is called the objects of the senses. But that is only because we are objectifying reality. So we are seeing what's called matter. But it's not the thing is matter, but my perception is material. So really we are surrounded by divinity. That is the fact. But we are not seeing that properly. So when it says to withdraw the mind from the sense objects, it's not like you don't see anything anymore or you don't hear anything anymore, but your mood is your mood is seeing the Lord everywhere, and that everything is actually serving Him and it is for Him. And then we will begin to see a different world. It's all a question of our own mood and kind of, you could say, almost purpose in life. Two people may be doing the same thing with a very different purpose, and they have a very different vision of that, of the environment around that. So this is to be understood, that this is subjective evolution of consciousness. It is the relationship between my own subjective self and all of reality. And ultimately, yoga must embrace that entire field. Is that at all clear? So we can actually change our entire angle of vision. And that must be done, because how we see things now is not accurate. I think we can all sort of understand that a little bit, right? You know, like sometimes you go, oh, I was freaking out. That's just because I didn't have enough sleep, and I was just like, oh, I don't know why I was feeling, you know. But we're always affected by so many influences like that, that we're not seeing reality properly. And the center of all reality is the actual objective of my natural love. And that must be awakened. And it's only actually in Bhakti Yoga that is awakened, because Bhakti means devotion. And that is our relationship with Krishna. Otherwise, we're praying to God to give me this, give me that. That's nasty. I mean, really, we don't even treat each other like that. I mean, at least we won't admit it. I'm only around you because I'm nice to you because you're going to give me stuff. I mean, that's rude. And what to speak of to the Supreme Lord, whose heart is so wonderful that the greatest souls who have ever lived sometimes faint to think of his qualities. And I'm going to approach him to give me stuff? That's why that is not acceptable to one who has real knowledge. So we're trying to Anya Vilasita Sunyam, that was one of the verses that came in our reading. That means Sunyam, Anya Vilasita, all these other things which will cloud our approach to God, those must be cleared out. And through surrender to the circumstances of our lives, the Lord is clearing those out himself. He's giving us relief from those things, so that we can begin to see him, and he is seeing us as he is seeing us.
It's like the objective, to reach our spiritual objective, to be surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it's always stated, it has to do with consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And the amazing thing about this Krishna consciousness is that it's not, the entry to Krishna consciousness isn't limited by any material condition. It doesn't matter whether you're intelligent, whether you're mentally perceptive, whether you're physically strong, whether you're physically beautiful, physically ugly. There's no qualification. It's just a matter of, the desire in the consciousness. Whatever position we're in by our karma, the access to consciousness is beyond our limited position that is imposed on us by karma. So we can access consciousness, the conscious world, the conscious reality of who we are through the development of devotion. And that will, bring us beyond the material condition of life. And, I guess the thing I was saying is that there's no qualification. You don't need anything. You just need a heart, and a heart that wants Krishna. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, whatever. It's up to you and your heart to, open your heart and try to give, stage by stage, give as much as we can to Krishna.
So Mars, maybe we should stop here.
Yeah.
We can put a bookmark.
All right.
We do have bookmarks, but
I
don't
thought
have-
there was like strings in this book. There's not?
Not
No.
this one, the bigger one. But people, underneath there's a little black envelope, and it has those little sticky things in it.
Should I give it to everyone?
I think so, and then we can mark the actual verse that we're on. It's there it is, yeah. And then we can actually mark where we are. So we're now in verse number 59.
So page 43, right?
Yeah,
And you can.
I already have one.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you mind picking that book up off the floor? We just try not to put the books on the floor, because that's where our feet go.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, and maybe when you come next week, the next question Arjuna is going to ask is, well, you try to withdraw your consciousness from the outside world, but, it's like you're being robbed, like you can't do it. Your consciousness is being pulled away again to these things. But that is a different, so Arjuna is actually clarifying what this, by his question, what this really means. Not, there's a level of yoga where you just sit and you just won't look at it, you won't smell it, you won't hear it, you won't say anything, you won't, that's very artificial actually. And really painful, and it takes a long time. And even if someone becomes to the perfection of really withdrawing, that he comes to this position of sort of like a deep sleep. And that is ignoring myself as an individual. So all these things are going to be clarified in the next some verses. Jai.
Can you play Kartal's through? Yes, they're there.
Jai Shri Bhagavad Gita.
Ki Jai. Ki Jai.
These commentaries are made by Srimati clarifying all these different points. You want to change your mind?
Sure.
What page is it on?
66. This is a white book. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Oh yeah, I changed the A.
Oh, you did.
Gopa Govinda Ram Srimadhusudan.
Gopa Govinda Ram Srimati.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mokhana.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Vaishnava Pare Majai Shaman.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Jai Rama.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Parama Koriyasha.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriyasha.
Hari Nam Sankirtana Koke Narotamada.
Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Dasa.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Rama
What do you want?
Hare
What do you
Hare.
want? Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol.
Hey, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol.
Hey, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Go up and run deep.
Hari Ho, Jai, Shri Guru Goswami Giraju Ki
Jai.
Jai, Vishnu Prabhupada Paramahansa Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswami Maharaj
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai, Vishnu Prabhupada Paramahansa Srila Bhakti Rapak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Jai, Chaitanya Saraswat Mission Ki
Ki Jai.
Bhagavad Gita class Ki Jai.
Jai.
All the assembled darlings here listening to the Gita tonight Ki Jai.
Jai.
Atal Ki Jai. Srimati
Jai.
Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nitya Gaur Premanandi.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Srimati Lekha Devi Ki Jai. Sripad Nyasi Maharaj Ki Jai.
This is a different type of knowledge. So when it is revealed in the heart, that is coming from the divine flame, and so we're always bowing down to that.
Mega Rupa says, wonderful class. We'll have to watch the rest later. Thank you both, Lekha and Nyasi Maharaj, for facilitating such a wonderful discussion.
Who said that?
Mega Rupa. Dandavat to all the devotees.
Oh, it's so nice to hear from you, my Didi. I really, that's wonderful. I miss you. It's a nice.
Mima Krishna Prabhu also in the class person
You
says,
okay with this?
Dandavat.
Dandavat, Dimam.
Mima, Jai.
Jai, Jai. Okay.